All right, in this tutorial, we're going to talk about making listener surveys for your podcast. A couple tools you can look at, surveymonkey.com, polldaddy.com. The one I'm going to show you is Google Forms. And why I like Google Forms, number one, it's free. SurveyMonkey only allows you to have a certain amount of number of responses. And PollDaddy is very flexible, but again, it's kind of a hassle to get in and out of. Google Forms is just the easiest and most powerful. And one other tool that I should mention, if you're a Libsyn subscriber, if you go to survey.libsyn.com/whatever your show slug is, this is an example for one for the school podcast. You can see this is very simple. It's simply your email address, your gender, age, marital status, ethnicity, education, and household income. And so those are some things you can think about putting on your survey. And of course, with yours, you can personalize it to include things that you're interested in. Maybe like what's your favorite length of a podcast, or what's your favorite topic? And something else to think about, if you're asking for somebody's opinion, like please rate this on a scale from such and such, what you want to do is keep things even. And what I mean by this is you can see here, if we go with the top one where we have 1 through 4, that is even, with 1 being good and 4 being bad. If you're not sure if it's bad or good, you have to either pick 2 or 3. 3's a little worse, 2's a little better, but there's no middle ground. Where when you give people a survey and they have an odd number, here 1 through 5, everybody can easily just circle all 3's and be right in the middle. So when you use even numbers, they have to choose, was it a little worse or a little better? So let's take a look at Google Forms. So you would log into your Google account, and this is at forms.google.com. And I'm just going to click on here to make a new form. And let's say I want to call this podcast subjects, and this will be for the school podcasting. And down here, I'm going to put in that same topic here. I'll call it favorite topics. And I could say here for the description, so I can better serve you. Please let me know what your favorite subjects are. And then here, when I go down to untitled question, it can be multiple choice. You could have a short answer, a paragraph. You could have check boxes, drop downs. Linear scale is like the one between 1 and 5. A multiple choice grid, date, time, things like that. So here I'm just going to choose multiple choice, and I'm going to say, what are your favorite topics in my show? And I'll say option 1, we will say, well, maybe that's podcasting news. And I could click down here and say, or podcast growth, or growing your audience. Let's do that. I can press enter, go down to the next one, podcast gear, interviews with other podcasters because of my podcast stories, tech tips and tools, or monetization strategies. Now, if I want people to leave something that I didn't put here, so maybe I didn't really cover everything, I could say go ahead and add another, so now they can fill that in. And over here, I have some options. I could do check boxes. So if I didn't want this to pick one, pick multiple ones, I can instantly change this to check boxes, and you can see now they're allowed to have multiple answers. Now let's say that's the end of that question. I could come over here and add a new one. And I could say, are you currently subscribed to the School of Podcasting? So here it says, suggestions, and I could say add all. And then if I want to, what if I don't want to have maybe? Because you can't kind of be subscribed. You either are or you aren't. And that one's done. And I'll go ahead and add one more. And I will say, what app/software do you use to subscribe? So here, I could put NA if they're not subscribed, and come down here, and again, I could go iTunes, enter Stitcher, enter Overcast, Pocket Casts, etc. Now, if I don't want to put all these in, I could just say, look, you know what? Let's just let them write it in. Short answer. Now, that's not going to be one where you're going to get a graph on, but you can do that. You can also see here, if I decide, you know what, I'm not going to ask that, I could delete this question. I can also see if this is required or not. So I'm going to come over here, click on each one of these and say, yep, this is required. And you can add also, if you want to add a video for your survey or an image, all sorts of things you can do here. So I want to click here on this question and say that it is also required. And the great thing about this is it's already saved. So now how do I send this to my audience? Well, there are a couple ways. If I click on send here, I can send it via email, put in their email address. I can click here and get a link. So just for giggles, if I go here and start a new window, and I'm going to paste that, this is what it will look like to my audience. There we go. And you can spruce these up and choose different colors, but that's what the form would look like if you want to shorten URL. So if you want to put it in Twitter, something like that. You could also click on this button and copy this and put it into, you can change the dimensions if you want to, but you can actually put this on your website. So instead of sending them to, Google Forms, you could actually say here, it's right on my website and keep them there. If you want, you can collect usernames. So if you want to do that as well, so you can see who answered what. And that is basically it. When you're done, I would copy this and choose copy and then paste it into the HTML view of your website. But that's it. You will see some other things up here where I can choose if I wanted this to be blue instead of purple. All sorts of fun ways that you can go in and customize things here. If I wanted to have an image, I could do that. This is a preview button. So if you want to see what it looks like, there it is. And again, if I want to go back here to editing, I can do that, which I already had on this window. Under here, under settings, do you want to collect email addresses? How many times can somebody respond? Respondents can edit after they submit. So you have these options if they want to or not. And if you want to show a progress bar as they're going through that, and then if you want to do any quizzes, you can actually have them take a quiz. But that's not something we're going to get into today. So that's a free tool, and you can have as many questions as you want. You can have as many responses as you want, and you can start getting input from your audience. Lastly, how do you get your results? Well, here I've clicked on a form that I previously made. I can see I had 9 responses, and if I click on that, you can see it automatically makes a cute little graph. And I can, it automatically makes the percentages for you. You can put your mouse over this, so I can see that 44% listen to 5 to 10 episodes per week. But what if I wanted to see individual answers? I can click here, and there is the answer. And now I can just go up here and see each person and what they answered. And if I want to delete an answer, maybe somebody came in and wrote a bogus one, I could click here and delete that response and get it out of your graph. So that's how you basically see that. And again, I'll go back here to my forms, and you'll see all the ones that you have created, and you could easily go in. Like if I wanted to see the results of this one that we just made, I would click on it. Now we don't have any results, but I could click here and go to responses. So, and these can stay here as long as you want. So that's how you can get some feedback from your audience. With better feedback, with better understanding of what your audience wants, you can deliver better content, which will lead to more downloads.